In the heart of a bustling city, hidden down a forgotten alleyway, lies a small, peculiar antique shop, known only to those who truly seek it. The shop, run by an enigmatic and unsettling proprietor, is filled with relics of the past, each with a story darker than the last. When a young woman named Claire stumbles upon the shop, she is inexplicably drawn to an ornate, antique mirror. Despite the shopkeeper's vague warnings, she purchases the mirror, unaware of the horrors it will soon reveal. As the mirror begins to show terrifying reflections of events that haven't yet occurred, Claire finds herself trapped in a nightmarish series of grisly events, each more horrifying than the last. Claire, a curious and independent woman in her late 20s, fascinated by history and antiques. She has recently moved into a new apartment and is looking for unique pieces to decorate her home. Mr. Blackwood, the mysterious owner of the antique shop, a tall, thin man with an unsettling presence and a penchant for the macabre. David, Claire's skeptical boyfriend, who dismisses her concerns about the mirror as mere superstition. Lena, Claire's best friend, supportive and empathetic, but growing increasingly concerned for Claire's well-being as the events unfold. Plot development. Claire stumbles upon the antique shop while exploring a part of the city she's never visited before. The shop is dark, dusty, and filled with strange and eerie artifacts. Claire is immediately drawn to an antique mirror, its frame intricately carved with symbols she doesn't recognize. The shopkeeper, Mr. Blackwood, seems reluctant to sell it to her, offering vague warnings about its history. Despite this, Claire purchases the mirror and takes it home, excited to add it to her collection. After placing the mirror in her living room, Claire begins to notice strange things about it. The glass seems to shimmer unnaturally, and she feels as if she's being watched. One night, while walking past the mirror, she catches a glimpse of a horrific scene. Her reflection shows her apartment in disarray, with blood splattered across the walls and furniture. Shaken, she turns away. But when she looks back, the reflection is normal. Claire convinces herself it was just her imagination, but the image lingers in her mind. Over the next few days, the mirror begins to show more disturbing scenes. Each time, Claire sees future events, gruesome accidents, violent confrontations, and even deaths, all involving people she knows. When these events begin to happen exactly as the mirror showed, Claire becomes terrified. She tries to tell David and Lena, but they dismiss her fears, believing she's just stressed or imagining things. However, the events continue to occur, and Claire realizes the mirror is showing her the future, but only the worst possible outcomes. Claire, desperate to stop the mirror's horrific predictions, returns to the antique shop but finds it gone, as if it never existed. Frantic, she begins researching the symbols on the mirror's frame, uncovering its dark history. The mirror, she learns, was created by an ancient occultist who used it to glimpse the future, but at a terrible cost. Those who possess the mirror are cursed to witness the darkest moments of their future, and worse, they are powerless to change what they see. The mirror's reflections grow more personal and more terrifying. Claire sees her own death in the mirror, a gruesome scene that leaves her paralyzed with fear. She tries to remove the mirror, but it seems to have rooted itself in her home, impossible to move or destroy. As the day of her predicted death approaches, Claire becomes increasingly paranoid and isolated, cutting herself off from everyone in a desperate attempt to avoid her fate. On the night the mirror predicted her death, Claire is alone in her apartment, every sound amplified by her terror. She covers the mirror, but the reflections continue to play out in her mind. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. David, concerned for her, has come to check on her. In a moment of panic, Claire lashes out, believing the mirror's prophecy is about to come true. The scene unfolds exactly as the mirror showed, but in a cruel twist, Claire realizes she has become the very instrument of her own doom. Days later, Lena, now mourning Claire's death, visits her apartment to collect her belongings. She finds the mirror, now free of its previous owner's curse. As she gazes into it, the glass shimmers, and she sees a reflection of herself, holding the mirror in a room filled with darkness and shadows. The reflection smiles, an ominous grin that isn't her own. Lena, unaware of the mirror's history, decides to keep it as a memento, unaware that the cycle of horror is about to begin again.